Okay, we're now live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. So we'll call this meeting to order, and I will look to Councillor DeLeo for the land acknowledgement. Councillor DeLeo?
Councillor DeLeo, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges that it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge that the waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor DeLeo. And now moving on to item number 2, proclamations. 2.1 is Crime Stoppers Month, that the Council proclaim the month of January 2025 is Crime Stoppers Month in the town of Wasaga Beach. Questions or comments on this? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? That motion carries. And now moving on to item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest. We have none before us at this time. If at some point throughout the meeting you feel you have a pecuniary interest, please let us know at that time. Under item number 4, adoptions of the agenda, that the contents of the agenda for January 16th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Sorry, I'm just trying to see everybody here. For some reason, it has disappeared on my screen.
There, when you touch, it's in the top right corner.
No, I'm not seeing that. Bear with me 1 second, please. I can only see Councillor Belanger. There we go. Sorry. All right. A mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Belanger, seconded by Councillor Eagle. All in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And on to item number 5, approval of the minutes. 5.1, the special council meeting minutes of December 12th. That the minutes of the special council meeting held December 12th, 2024 are hereby adopted as circulated. A mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor DeLeo and seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Item number 5.2, the recommended motion is that the minutes of the regular council meeting held December 12th, 2024 are hereby adopted as circulated. Mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Timms, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? That carries. And items number 6, 7, and 8, we have no items with those 3 categories today. So we'll move on to item number 9, which is government relations. And I'll turn this to our CAO, Andrew McNeil, to speak. Andrew?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just a quick update on a delegation we have this coming Monday with a parliamentary assistant to Minister Sakaria. It pertains to issues that we've previously briefed council on in the West End, specifically the area around Beechwood Road. As council is aware, we have a public meeting this evening, and what we have heard from the community as part of our engagement to develop the secondary plan is that the community would like a different vision for the Beechwood Road corridor. They've talked about active transportation, more access to the street, more connectivity. We're looking to create parallel network to take some of the pressure off of Beechwood Road and the potential congestion that could develop there over the coming decades. So we've requested a delegation, excuse me. Sorry. Good thing about virtual, you can mute yourself when you need to cough. So we have a delegation on Monday with the parliamentary assistant. We'll be asking for an update on a letter that we sent prior to the Christmas break. The letter specifically asked for reduction of setbacks from Highway 26, Beechwood Road. We'd like the province to explore downloading of the Beechwood Road corridor so that the municipality can better control our future and create a community more in line with what the residents are seeking out in the West End. Failing a complete downloading, we'd like delegation of authority to oversee the planning of the corridor so that we don't have to defer everything to MTO, because oftentimes we have competing objectives. MTO is very good at building high-speed corridors, highways, but the finer grain things that we're interested in to build great complete communities is often at odds with those objectives. So I think downloading, planning, approvals authority is a logical thing for us to explore. So we've made those requests. We're seeking an answer. And I would also share that this is not just about Beechwood. It's also about Lions Court, which is south of Moseley. Lions Court is particularly important right now given the application that was recently filed by Costco. So for council's benefit, Costco application is now live. They have formally submitted their site plan. It's going through the approvals process. It's being circulated to all of the relevant commenting parties. I should qualify it has not been approved. The deal has not been finalized, but the application has formally been submitted. With that, I'll turn it back to Mayor Smith.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Questions or comments from members of council? All right, seeing none, I think it's important to note, as the CAO indicated, that council has now submitted, Costco has now submitted an application for a new Costco here in Wasaga Beach. That's very positive news, and we're looking forward to moving that along. If there's no other questions or comments, we will now go to the motion. And that is that the following reports, there is no motion for this. This is just for information. My apologies. So now moving on to item number 10, then staff reports. The following reports have been pulled and moved to matters for considerations to be voted on separately. Items 10.2, 10.3, 10.6, and 10.7. Are there any other comments from council or staff on the consent report? Seeing none from anyone, then the recommended motion is that the following consent list items under the staff reports and that all recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding the items pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. Mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That carries unanimously. All right. And moving on to item number 11, correspondence items. The following correspondence items have been pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. And that is items 11.4 and 11.5. And I understand Councillor Timms and Councillor Eagle wish to comment on 11.3. So we'll do that now. Councillor Timms, you go ahead first. You're muted, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I did want to comment on this item. I did have a conversation with the clerk and learned a little bit more background about it. I feel quite strongly that elected officials should be held to the same accountability as any member of a corporation or employment, an employee. And while we're not asking for support, particularly to the resolution of the Northern Ontario Women's Caucus, I do think this is something that we should keep our eye on and realize that there's no place for workplace misconduct in politics. So just a comment, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Timms. And we'll now move to Councillor Ego. And reminder to turn off your mute.
Yeah, got it.
Excellent.
Thank you. And through your worship, yes, just mine is a very quick comment on this, that I totally support the resolution from the Northern Ontario Women's, and I will speak to this subject further in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, if there's no other comments, then we will, the recommended motion is the following consent list items under correspondence be received for information, excluding the items pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, second by Councillor DeLeo. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 12 is minutes of boards and committees, and we have none of those today to report. Item number 13 is now matters for consideration. And the first item here on the list is overnight emergency warming center update. And I believe that Councillor Timms, you pulled this. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do want to congratulate the chief on making this initiative a reality. I did some research about One Community Services and discovered that they're a very compassionate organization trained to support the homeless community. I'm very grateful to the county and especially Faith Missionary Church for hosting the warming center. This is all good news all around. Since the winter of 2023, it's my understanding that we've only had 2 individuals who utilized the temporary center that we had created overnight. And last year being milder, I dare say we did experience temperatures lower than -10, but we weren't prepared to shelter people at that temperature. My concern is this: as the homeless community becomes more open and aware of the center, do we have more, and we have more than 10 individuals show up, will we be able to support and handle that? Because I know we have only 10 beds available. A second concern of mine is that I'm wondering about who calls it. I think from the report, Chief, it appears that the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit makes the call for the center to open. I was wondering if that is the case. And in your report under 3.11 transportation, you mentioned that individuals and families will have access to free transit to the center. Do we think that we have families that include children living outdoors? And also, I think this is going to be very, very important to communicate that transportation is free on the days that the warming center is open for people. So those were the things that were going through my mind when I was reading the report. I wonder if you care to elaborate, Chief?
Thank you very much, Councillor DeLeo. I'll look to Chief Williams. Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to the councillor. Thank you for taking the time to read the report. It is an important initiative. It does currently have a capacity of 10 beds and activates at a temperature threshold of -10. What I can share with you is that as of today, it is planned to continually operate until January 22nd, at which time the temperatures will be reevaluated. And the community members can find out more information about this center by contacting 211, contacting the church themselves, or they can check the status of all Simcoe County warming stations by visiting simcoe.ca/winter warming. In the event that we do reach capacity at this site, then individuals who showed up would be referred to other available resources. So there are other winter warming operations that are now open in Barrie, Bradford, and Orillia, as well as I believe Midland. So we'd be looking to refer those individuals to those locations where there might be capacity. And I also want to emphasize that this new program is in addition to the current shelter system that operates 365 days a year on Beechwood Road and is operated by this the Busby Center. So in essence, I think we've done a great job. We've doubled the capacity of available beds once it hits -10, but certainly this is something we're going to have to continually monitor and make a determination into the future whether 10 beds is enough or if there's an alternate strategy that is required. I'll come back to your second question because I don't quite remember what it was, but your third question was in regards to transportation. So yeah, the goal is to take away barriers for individuals that don't have the funds or the ability to get to the warming centers on their own accord. So what we have done is there are bus passes available by the service operator at the warming center. And when someone arrives at the warming center, they will be given 2 bus passes, one to get home and then one to return home the next time. So our overall goal is to make sure everybody can get there, as easily as possible. And to your question regarding children, I believe that there are throughout Simcoe County families that are living rough outdoors. I have not come across any myself in Wasaga Beach, but that is certainly a reality of the situation. So we would be doing everything we can to accommodate their needs within the warming shelter to make sure that everyone remains safe. And your second question, I apologize, but I've lost it.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, my second question was, is it Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit that makes the call for when the center is open?
Thank you, Councillor Timms, and through the Mayor. So in this case, because this is a county-funded initiative, what occurs is Simcoe County recommends to their service providers that the warming centers be opened up, which occurs at the -10 threshold, including wind chill, or whenever a significant winter weather event is expected. At that point, it is up to the service provider as well as the church to confirm their availability to open up overnight, which we would anticipate through the agreement will happen on a regular basis. And then the announcement is made on the county's website that it's now opened up. So the only time we're going to be using the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit notification protocol is for our daytime warming centers, which will continue to occur at the Recplex and as well at our new arena and library. We will utilize those thresholds in order to open up our spaces so that during the daytime people can have a safe, clean area to visit, and then in the evenings they would be referred back to the other overnight services.
And I would note that this is the same type of process that is used in all warming centers basically across the county that appears to be working quite well. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But anything further, Councillor Timms? Okay.
No, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Fire Chief Williams, I have a couple questions for you. First off, the transportation. Are dogs and cats allowed to go on the bus for transport? So that would be one. And then, are the dogs and cats allowed in the warming center? And then, are they allowed during the day at the Recplex in the warming centers as well, people that have pets? Thank you.
Go ahead,
Thank you, Councillor DeLeo, and through the chair. So I would actually refer to General Manager Lalonde regarding whether or not animals are permitted on public transportation. I would imagine if they're a service animal, they absolutely are, but I don't know the circumstance around the rest. Regarding the ability to house the animals in the warming center, that's an ongoing question. I have posed it to the church, the county, and our service provider, and have been told that it is ongoing discussions. There are some warming centers that do allow animals, and they are willing to look at the available options. However, as you can imagine, that does create some complexity within the center itself, and they want to make sure if they're going to permit it that it's done properly, and it would be done on a case-by-case basis for the safety of all the participants. And I'm sorry, your final question?
No, that was it. For the Recplex, if they're allowed on the bus, and if they're allowed in the warming centers.
Yeah, so at our other public facilities, service animals are always welcome, and my understanding is that other animals are welcome into the space, provided that they're well behaved and not becoming a disruption to staff, patrons, or the facility itself.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor DeLeo. Any other questions or comments? While we're
Sorry, Your Worship.
Chief, go ahead.
I was just going to ask General Manager Lalonde to comment on the public transportation piece with animals.
Okay. General Manager Lalonde?
Thank you, Chief. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, the transit system only allows service animals on board. So, should there be a decision to allow animals at these centers, then that's something that we would have to take into consideration and provide direction to our operator accordingly.
All right. Good with that then, Councillor DeLeo? Thank you very much. Okay. We're here, Chief. I just think it's important. I know that Deputy Mayor Snell wanted to hear a little more about this as well, but if you could just comment on our fires, structure fires recently and around fire safety for the public to hear and have a better understanding as to what we've been dealing with and how important it is for them to pay a little more attention to fire safety within their homes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes talking about the importance of home fire safety. So during the first week of January, Wasaga Beach actually experienced 2 serious overnight fires. In both cases, the initial 911 reports included individuals that were trapped inside the homes. Thankfully, all the occupants, they did escape. However, the risk to their safety as well as the risk to our firefighters was very real. Unfortunately, both fires resulted in the destruction of both the dwellings and the contents, and the occupants are not able to return home. And to make matters worse, these incidents were 100% preventable, caused by poor decision-making as well as the misuse of smoking materials. And Your Worship, as you may know, between 2023 and 2024, there were approximately 250 lives in Ontario that were lost due to fires, including 2 Wasaga Beach residents. And, that is something that is, unacceptable in our community. And we must all work very, very hard to make sure that these sorts of tragedies don't continue and hopefully never happen again. So I did have a couple of just important reminders that, residents can take to protect themselves and their property. Most importantly, install and regularly test your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and ensure that they're replaced after every 10 years. Develop and practice a home escape plan for all your family members. And when doing so, please consider the cognitive and physical abilities of everyone that lives in your house. Really, really important is ensuring that exits remain unobstructed. Fires develop very, very quickly, and you may only have a minute or so to get out of your house, and any blocked door could pose a real life safety issue. And understanding the most common causes of fires, specifically here in Wasaga Beach, is really important. Our residents can prevent fires by safely disposing of smoking materials, never leaving cooking unattended, avoiding using damaged wiring and electronics, charging batteries with only manufacturer-approved cables and adapters, and disposing of damaged equipment promptly, using battery-operated candles instead of open flames, and never leaving candles unattended, keeping fireplaces and space heaters at least 3 feet away from anything that might burn, and finally, just understanding that the risk of fire-related injury and death significantly increases when occupants are intoxicated. And I would just leave it at that. If there is any questions from our community, our fire department is always available. Contact us here at the fire station or visit our website for more information, and we'd be happy to help with any home fire safety planning that's required. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Chief. We can't stress enough how important it is, folks, to pay attention to this and to make sure that you and your families are safe at all times. It's alarming to hear the numbers, and it's alarming to see what's happened so far this year within the town of Wasaga Beach. So thank you for that, Chief. All right, we'll now go back to the recommended motion for the overnight warming centers. If there's no other questions or comments on this. All right, seeing none, the motion is that the report titled Overnight Emergency Warming Center Update to the Council meeting of January 16, 2025 be received, and the Council approve the updated Municipal Emergency Warming and Cooling Center policy attached to this report forming Appendix A. And before I call or ask the clerk to call a vote, I think it's important that we all just give our gratitude and our thanks to the Faith Missionary Church here in Wasaga Beach, as has been mentioned by other members of council, for stepping forward and doing this. This is an absolute vital service that is required in all communities, but here in Wasaga Beach for certain, and we thank them along with the county for all the efforts in helping us to get this done. Madam Clerk, if you could call the vote, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could just ask for a mover and seconder.
That is moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor.
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And now moving on to the next item, which is check registers. And this was pulled by Councillor Timms and Councillor DeLeo. Councillor Timms?
Thank you, Your Worship. Knowing the stretched capacity of our Treasury Department and now learning that providing registers online is a courtesy and not a requirement, I do support this decision. The Library Board, which I sit on, regularly reviews our check registers, and without the context or the backstory for the post, it's often unclear what the expenditure is for. So fortunately, in that situation, we have a staff member there to elaborate. But in the case of what we're seeing in social media, where there is a lot of incorrect speculation because you can't understand what the posts are for. I also have read very harsh comments, and it's unfortunate, but it happens very regularly. So these are the reasons why I feel that this is a good move for our Treasury Department. I don't think we can keep paying overtime to provide something that is unnecessary, and knowing that the public can look at the other reports that are provided. This is something that I feel is a good move for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I feel the opposite. So, to me, the monthly check registry is one of the ways our residents can transparently see the monthly ongoings of tax dollars. I understand that they're constantly on social media where they're attacking. I get that, I really do, but I guess that's the price of being in politics.